Hey everyone, Brian here from Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. This is our daily update here on progress in our little VW restoration shop here in beautiful Orange, California. Anyway, so I was in the shop proper by myself today rather. My other guys were working outside and in the paint booth. Come back to what they did in a little bit. But let me go ahead and talk about what I did today inside the shop. So, started off the day with this beauty here. You guys are all familiar with this car if you've been watching the episode lately. This is a Turquoise 62 Beetle that's kind of a long history with this shop, and it's just back in for a number of kind of small-ish items. Anyway, so yesterday I had pulled the carburetors. The car had sat for 8 months without being started. And so what happens when you do that is the gasoline in the carburetors evaporates. And he brought the car in. One of the things was for a tune-up and to make sure that it was running and running and driving good after sitting for such a long spell of time. Anyway, so I went ahead and pulled his carburetors. I talked about that in yesterday's video. Went through them, cleaned them, put rebuild kits in them, and put them back on. So today I primed the carburetors and got this puppy fired up, and then synchronized them left to right. They were off a little bit, not too bad. Brought one side up a little, one side down a little to match each other. And the linkage was pretty much spot on, so that's good. I also checked the ignition timing, and it appeared to be spot on, about 32, maybe 33 degrees full advance, which should be fine for this motor. Relatively mild. 1835, I think. So this motor was built by Dave Greiner at Proformance. So knowing him, it's probably like 8.5 to 1 compression. So 32, 33 degrees should be about right for it. But anyway, yeah, so went through and did those things on it. And tomorrow when the motor is cold, probably first thing in the morning, I will go ahead and adjust the valves. And then, assuming it's not raining tomorrow, which I don't think it's supposed to, but it kind of rained like all day here, which, we have to put up with a few days a year in Southern California. I guess I can't complain too much compared to most of the rest of the country. But anyway, I need to adjust the valves tomorrow and then take it on a test drive, see how it's running with its little mild tune-up here. And I think that's kind of the last major thing that we're doing on this car. So should be finishing up. He can probably come get it next week. I think he still wants me to play around with his radio a little bit. He's got a retro sound radio in it, and he said it doesn't sound great, and I kind of agree. So I'm going to fiddle with it with the various settings, bass, treble, and stuff like that. See if I can get a little bit better sound quality, better sort of depth. It sounds very like flat and kind of wimpy, so play around with that a little, see if I can get him some better tunes going. But anyway, that was the start of my day on this beauty. And then after a bit of a hiatus from working on this insane beauty here, this, if you guys or anyone here is new to the channel, this is a 54 right-hand drive Barndoor Combi. And we're doing some cool vintage hot rod stuff on it. If you haven't seen it, I'll just talk about it briefly. If you have seen it, then bear with me, please. But anyway, 356B brakes on it, 16-inch 356 wheels here. Some little accessories there on it. Nothing too wild. But one of which is kind of cool is an accessory turn signal switch where the end of the switch actually lights up. And of course, this car being a Barndoor bus did not come with turn signals, so we added those. It still has the, let's see right there, sort of on top of the dash, it does still have the semaphore switch, which is wired in. But then we had a new wiring harness made for this car, and we added wires for separate turn signals. So we've got those wired into the city lights up front. And then in back, we created dual filament bulb holders. So these are now running lights and turn signals. And then the brake light is still where it belongs, right there. Anyway, but the motor in this thing is kind of wild. I mean, it's still a 36 horse. However, as you can see, doesn't quite look like a normal 36 horse. So this is actually a 1500 cc 36 horse. So 74 stroke by, let's see, I think it's 80 millimeter bore. And yeah, we had the heads worked over, had some magic done on the cylinder heads by none other than Clyde Berg. It's got a mild cam in it. We didn't want to go too crazy with the cam because, of course, this is a relatively heavy vehicle here, being a bus. An Arbuth muffler that we had Tiger over at A1 add a single tip to here and block off the quad tips. So a little custom touch there. This thing will come out about that far past the bumper, so it should look cool. But I think the most unique thing about this motor are these carburetors. This is an Australian carburetor setup that's correct period for this car, made in the early 50s for these 36 horse motors, made by a company called Monaro Motors in Australia. And that's actually very appropriate for this bus because it was sold originally in Australia. Anyway, so we had been very, very focused on this bus for quite some time, somewhat at the neglect of some other projects. So we've been kind of taking a break from it for a little while, but we're ready to get back on this thing. So the next thing that needed to be done, which I did today, was to purchase and mount an oil filter adapter, and then figure out the routing of the hoses to and from the motor to that, and then make those hoses. So let me pause this for a second here while I crawl under the car. Okay, there we go. Sorry if it's kind of bright, but anyway, yeah, so there is where I mounted the oil filter adapter, and then you can see got a couple right angle AN fittings coming off of it, and then running over to the motor. Right here is the inlet and the outlet. And I found this hose that I thought was kind of cool. It's a nylon braided hose, and it's got some blue woven into it, which, you know, kind of goes somewhat with the car, I suppose. Tried to keep it kind of old school looking, instead of going with black fittings, going with sort of natural colored fittings. Thought it looked a little bit better than all blacked out fittings, or, you know, the red and blue or any other color like that. So try to keep it kind of old school looking. None of this will really show once the car is together, but still, if somebody sort of pokes their head under there, I don't want it to look totally out of place. So pretty happy with how that came out. But yeah, so this was the last thing that I needed to do before firing this motor up, is actually connect its oil filter. So now that the mounting is figured out for the oil filter adapter, and I made the hoses and stuff, the next thing to happen here is the motor is going to come out of the car and go onto our engine test stand. And at that point, it is going to be ready to start up. We have to still add some oil to the carburetors, which I don't think I mentioned before. They're SU carburetors, which have this big sort of dash pot looking deal on the top that gets partially filled with oil. Super weird carburetors. They're from commonly used on European cars, especially British cars, but I think many other varieties of British cars. But yeah, so this is the side draft SU carburetors here, and you can kind of see the manifold, how they come off the head and bend back toward the back of the car. So cool system. This rod here is for the choke. You can see the lever for it here. You turn the choke on, it enriches both carburetors and also sets them at like a high idle speed. So yeah, tons and tons of work and thought going into this motor and how to, route the linkage and stuff like that. Got a Fram oil filter there, so this is a full flow filter, which means that 100% of the oil that comes out of the pump goes through that filter before it goes back into the motor. These kind of old school ones are an accessory, and basically how these work is these just bleed off like a little bit of oil from the oil flow system, and then they filter it, and then they basically just like dump it back into the engine case. So they're kind of continuously filtering, but not 100% of the oil. So it's doing something. It's kind of redundant with the full flow filter here, but again, we're wanting this car to look like a period appropriate hot rod here. And by the way, this was a new old stock one that Rafa actually had in his stash, so just amazing condition considering its age. But anyway, so yeah, probably next week, maybe Monday when Rafa's out, we'll go ahead and pull this motor back up and then think about getting it up on the test stand and starting it up. So stay tuned for that, because I think this thing should sound pretty wicked with this exhaust and these carburetors and everything else we got going on here. So that was actually a good chunk of my day here, figuring out that routing and stuff like that. And I don't know, any of you who've made AN style lines before know that it can be pretty time consuming, especially if you're anal like we are about routing them and having them be, like the exact length that you want them and stuff. It kind of takes a while, and then cutting them and putting the fittings on, it's a little tedious, but they look really good when they're done. So we just didn't want to like put some barbed fittings on here with hose clamps on them or anything hokey like that on this car. So anyway, that was a good chunk of my day right there. And then if you saw the thumbnail, you know that I finally split the case on the motor for this car. So this is this one family 64 Beetle with numbers matching 40 horse motor that you can see here, finally split apart. And I don't think this motor had ever been opened before. It was really, really hard to get apart. And I don't see any signs of sealant between the case halves. So I'm pretty sure this motor is together from its original assembly at the VW factory. I did measure a couple of the bearing saddles in the case, and it is in fact standard, meaning that the case has never been a line board for new bearings. I haven't measured the crank or anything, but I'm pretty sure everything in this engine is going to be standard, meaning that it's never been machined. Even on the connecting rods, you can see from the factory they peened the connecting rod nuts to the rods, so you can kind of see that little groove there. Probably most shops that were rebuilding them wouldn't necessarily do that. So yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure this motor has never been apart before. It's probably been out of the car at some point. I don't know for sure, for like maybe for a clutch change or something like that, but I don't think it's ever been opened up. Another thing telling me that it's probably never been opened up is that it is super gross inside. Like, it is just so black in there that I have to think that if somebody had rebuilt it ever, that it wouldn't quite be this black inside. But everything inside looks like it's in really good shape. We're not going to use pretty much anything in here because, again, if you watch the show, you know that we're actually going to drop a 1600cc crank into here and have the case and everything machined for 1600 pistons and cylinders. So this is going to be a 1600cc motor, 1600cc single port in a 40 horse case, which will be numbers matching to this car. And we're going to put some dual carbs, probably cadrons on it, and with some vintage style air filters, probably like the ones on this car here. I really like the way those look, and they do have a sort of vintage speed look to them, and some other little touches like that. So it's going to be really cool that it's the numbers matching engine for this car, but it's going to be more of a like an old school hot rod, we'll probably manage to get maybe 70 or so horsepower out of it, which, you know, compared to the 40 that this car came with, it should be really fun to drive. But yeah, so I was very happy to see that. It's always nice to pull a motor apart and have it be, you know, that nice inside where it's never been machined or anything like that. It's kind of a blank canvas. I'm sure that it'll need an align bore because usually the bearing saddles are pretty hammered out, but at least it'll just be on its first align bore versus, you know, if it had already been done a time or two, the cases start getting kind of wonky, and we don't want wonky cases. So that was it for me today, guys. Let's talk about what Mr. Santiago, our upholstery genius, did today. So he actually finished the carpet. Again, we don't use kits here. This is all handmade. We just buy how many yards of German square weave carpet, and he goes to town. So open this door here. So yeah, there it is, all done. Looks kind of crummy now because there's just the old carpet here in the center section. All that's coming out, and we have new rubber floor mats to go in the center and over the tunnel like it's supposed to. But yeah, as far as the carpet's concerned, there it is. And headliner, I think I showed you guys yesterday, but yeah, super tight, like a drum. Yeah, there you go. So that was Santiago's day. Rene continued prepping the formerly crusty Ghia, the 68 Ghia, for paint. And of course, he didn't do any painting today because this stupid weather. But he's talking about tomorrow maybe spraying like a coat on it just to be able to sand it down and do like a final check before applying the final coats of paint. So we'll see. Maybe I'll be showing you guys that car with some color on it tomorrow. We'll see. Anyway, that is it for today, everyone. Appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.